As a young college student trying to earn some extra cash, I often took up babysitting gigs for families in my neighborhood. One summer evening, I received a call from Mrs. Thompson, a friendly woman who needed someone to watch her two children while she attended a late-night event. Little did I know that this seemingly ordinary babysitting job would turn into a horrifying and unforgettable night. Arriving at the Thompsons' house, I was greeted by Mrs. Thompson, who introduced me to her two adorable children, Emily and Ethan. Both kids seemed well-behaved and excited about their bedtime routine. Mrs. Thompson assured me that they usually went to bed without any trouble. As the evening wore on, everything went smoothly. We played games, read bedtime stories, and had a light snack. It was getting late, and I suggested the children get ready for bed. However, just as I put them to bed, strange things began to happen. While tucking Emily in, she suddenly pointed to the corner of the room and said, "Look, there's a shadow standing there." I glanced over, but there was nothing there. Assuming it was just her imagination or a trick of the nightlight, I comforted her and assured her that everything was fine. As I moved to Ethan's room, I heard faint giggles and whispers echoing through the house. It sounded like a child's laughter, but I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Brushing it off as the kids playing tricks on me, I continued with Ethan's bedtime routine. Minutes turned into hours, and the house grew eerily silent. I settled down in the living room, hoping to pass the time by watching TV, but a sense of unease lingered in the air, as if I was being watched. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the TV screen distorted into static. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just an electrical glitch, but then I heard faint footsteps upstairs. Panic set in as I realized the children were supposed to be in bed. I hurried upstairs to find Emily and Ethan asleep in their beds, but the giggles and whispers persisted. This time, they seemed to be coming from the walls themselves. The house felt alive with an unsettling energy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. As I made my way back downstairs, the temperature dropped drastically, sending shivers down my spine. I felt a chilling presence looming behind me, as if a cold hand was brushing against my neck. Suddenly, the living room door slammed shut with a deafening bang. I was trapped inside, and the atmosphere grew suffocating. Desperate to escape, I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. In a state of sheer terror, I called Mrs. Thompson, hoping she could help me. But when she answered, I could only hear static on the other end. The line went dead, leaving me feeling more isolated than ever. With no other option, I decided to brave the darkened house and find a way out. But as I made my way through the dimly lit rooms, the whispers grew louder, and I felt an oppressive force bearing down on me. In the corner of my eye, I caught glimpses of shadowy figures darting through the darkness. They seemed to be watching me, their eyes glowing like embers in the night. As I reached the front door, it swung open on its own, revealing a bone-chilling sight. A ghostly figure stood on the threshold, its face obscured by darkness. I couldn't move, paralyzed with fear as it advanced toward me. Summoning every ounce of courage, I mustered a scream, and the figure vanished into thin air. The house fell silent once more, and the unsettling energy dissipated. Exhausted and shaken, I ran out of the house and didn't look back until I reached the safety of my own home. To this day, I can't explain the horrors I experienced that night. The Thompsons moved away shortly after, leaving the house empty and silent, but the memories of that haunting night still haunt my dreams. It taught me that some babysitting jobs can be more terrifying than anyone could ever imagine. The haunted house loomed before me, its decaying walls and broken windows exuding an eerie aura that sent shivers down my spine. I had heard tales of its malevolent past, and as I stood at the front gate, a sense of foreboding washed over me. Despite my apprehension, curiosity compelled me to step inside, and little did I know that I was about to uncover the chilling secrets hidden within those haunted walls. The moment I crossed the threshold, an unsettling silence enveloped me. The air felt heavy with the weight of the house's dark history, and the faint smell of mildew permeated every corner. As I cautiously explored the first floor, the floorboards creaked beneath my feet, as if the house itself was whispering ancient secrets. With every step, a feeling of being watched intensified. I couldn't shake the sensation that unseen eyes followed my every move, lurking within the shadows. As I reached the grand staircase leading to the upper levels, a sudden chill swept over me, and the temperature seemed to plummet. With trepidation, I climbed the creaking stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. At the top, the hallway stretched before me, its walls adorned with tattered wallpaper and cracked mirrors reflecting a haunting image of myself. As I gazed into one of the mirrors, my reflection seemed to waver, revealing a distorted figure standing behind me for a fleeting moment, before vanishing into the abyss. Uneasy and intrigued, I ventured into the rooms, each one seemingly frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture stood as a reminder of the house's former glory, now lost to the darkness of its haunting past. Unexplained noises echoed through the halls, and I strained to discern whether they were mere tricks of my imagination or something more sinister. As the sun dipped below the horizon, darkness began to swallow the house. The flickering candlelight I brought with me seemed to waver and struggle against the encroaching shadows, casting eerie silhouettes on the walls. The sound of faint whispers filled the air, as if the very walls were murmuring secrets long buried. My heart raced as I followed the ethereal voices, leading me to a room at the end of the hallway. As I pushed open the door, an overwhelming sense of dread washed over me. The room was unlike the others, devoid of any furnishings except for a dusty old book sitting on a table at its center. Against my better judgment, I approached the book and opened it, revealing pages filled with cryptic symbols and chilling tales of the house's dark past. The pages seemed to come alive, the ink flowing as if painted by an invisible hand. In that moment, the whispers grew louder, and an unseen force seemed to grip my very soul. The room's temperature plummeted further, and a haunting presence materialized before me. A ghostly figure emerged from the shadows, its hollow eyes locking onto mine. Its face contorted with anguish and despair, and an overwhelming sadness washed over me. Terrified, I dropped the book and stumbled backward, desperately trying to escape the room. But the door slammed shut with a resounding thud, leaving me trapped in the darkness. The ghostly figure approached, its chilling touch sending shockwaves through my body. My mind was flooded with fragments of its tragic tale, a life lost in sorrow, forever bound to this haunted house. Summoning my courage, I pleaded with the spirit, promising to uncover the truth of its untold story and set it free from its torment. The figure seemed to pause, its eyes conveying a mixture of longing and desperation. As if in response to my words, the door creaked open, and the house seemed to release its hold on me. I rushed out, gasping for breath, and never looked back. The haunted house remained an enigma, forever etched in my memory. Its chilling whispers and ghostly presence had left an indelible mark on my soul. From that day forward, I vowed to uncover the truth behind its haunting and set the lost souls within its walls free from their eternal torment. As a seasoned paranormal investigator, I had encountered my fair share of eerie encounters, but nothing could have prepared me for the chilling case that awaited me at the old Sullivan estate. The rumors surrounding the mansion were rife with tales of unexplainable occurrences and a sinister presence that lurked within its walls. With my trusty team by my side, we ventured into the heart of darkness, determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting of the Sullivan estate. The mansion stood tall and imposing, a relic of a bygone era. As we stepped through the grand entrance, the air seemed to thicken with an eerie energy. The interior was a maze of dimly lit hallways and dusty rooms, each one echoing with the whispers of the past. Our investigation began in the grand foyer, where we set up our equipment and prepared for the night ahead. I felt a sense of trepidation, but also an inexplicable curiosity that pushed me forward. As the sun dipped below the horizon, darkness enveloped the mansion. We switched off the lights, leaving only our cameras and flashlights to guide us through the shadows. The first signs of paranormal activity came in the form of inexplicable cold spots that seemed to follow us from room to room. Despite the warm summer night, these chilling pockets of air sent shivers down our spines. Moving deeper into the mansion, we stumbled upon a dusty library filled with aged books and forgotten tomes. As I scanned the shelves, a strange sensation washed over me, as if unseen eyes were watching from the shadows. Our attention turned to an antique mirror that hung on the wall, its ornate frame showcasing intricate carvings. As I stared into the reflective surface, a flicker of movement caught my eye. A fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure that seemed to vanish as quickly as it appeared. My heart pounded in my chest as I shared my observation with the team. We decided to focus our investigation on the mirror, believing it to be a focal point of the paranormal energy within the mansion. Drawing on our experience, we set up an array of cameras and motion sensors around the mirror, hoping to capture any evidence of the supernatural. The hours ticked by, and the mansion remained cloaked in an unsettling stillness. Just as we were about to call it a night, a sudden chill filled the room. A sense of malevolence hung in the air, suffocating us with its intensity. The mirror seemed to pulsate with a dark energy, and the temperature dropped drastically. In a daring move, I approached the mirror and stared into it once more. This time, the reflection before me was not my own. It was the shadowy figure I had glimpsed earlier. Its eyes were hollow and filled with an otherworldly sorrow. As I watched in horror, the figure reached out of the mirror, its elongated fingers stretching towards me. My breath caught in my throat, and I stumbled backward, breaking the connection. The figure retreated back into the mirror, leaving me shaken to the core. My team rushed to my side, concern etched on their faces. We knew then that we were dealing with something far more sinister than we had ever encountered before. Refusing to back down, we continued our investigation, determined to unravel the mystery of the mirror. Night after night, we returned to the Sullivan estate, braving the malevolent presence that lurked within. As our investigation progressed, we uncovered the tragic history of the mansion and its former inhabitants. The Sullivan family had been plagued by a series of tragic events, including the mysterious disappearance of their daughter Eleanor on her 18th birthday. It was believed that Eleanor's spirit was trapped within the mirror, yearning for release from her spectral prison. As the days turned into weeks, the malevolent energy surrounding the mirror intensified, manifesting in eerie apparitions and sinister voices that echoed through the mansion. Despite the danger, we pressed on, refusing to let fear dictate our actions. In a desperate attempt to free Eleanor's spirit, we conducted a seance in the very room where the mirror hung. As we gathered around, the atmosphere became charged with an electric energy. We reached out to the spirit of Eleanor, urging her to find peace and move on to the afterlife. In that moment, a powerful force seemed to surge through the room, and the mirror trembled on the wall. A haunting melody filled the air, and we felt a gentle touch on our shoulders, a sign that Eleanor's spirit had heard our plea. With bated breath, we waited, and the mansion fell into a hushed silence. The mirror's reflection seemed to waver, and for a fleeting moment we saw Eleanor's smiling face looking back at us. In that moment of connection, the malevolent energy dissipated, and the mansion felt lighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. We knew then that our mission was complete. Eleanor's spirit had found peace, and the haunting of the Sullivan estate had come to an end. As we left the mansion for the final time, I couldn't help but reflect on the chilling journey we had undertaken. The memory of the shadowy figure in the mirror and the sorrowful spirit of Eleanor would forever be etched in my mind. Our encounter at the Sullivan estate had solidified our belief in the paranormal and the existence of a world beyond our own. It was a haunting reminder that some mysteries were best left unsolved, and that the past could cast long shadows over the present.